8 hostages were freed today in the latest release since the start of the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. 3 Israelis and 5 Thai farm workers were handed over amid a chaotic crowd in the city of Khan Yunis. Israel's release of 110 Palestinian prisoners was delayed due to protests that occurred as they were being handed to the Red Cross. Today's exchange is the third since the start of a ceasefire agreement. Former advisor to Benjamin Netanyahu, Daniel Rubenstein, joined us from Israel for more on the release.
All the people of Israel have been glued to their televisions today as we have been watching the release of additional hostages from Hamas captivity. It's been nearly 16 months since these hostages have been held, and today Hamas released 3 Israeli hostages and 5 Thai nationals. These are people from Thailand who were working in agriculture in the fields near the Gaza border. Hamas took them on October 7th, 2023, and only returned them today. As far as the Israeli hostages who were released, the first Israeli hostage released today was Agam Berger. Agam was an Israeli soldier on the border. She was a lookout soldier. It was her job to keep an eye on the situation in Gaza. She and the other soldiers with her were among the first to realize that the October 7th massacre was happening. There were a group of 5 female Israeli soldiers that Hamas had been holding for nearly 16 months. 4 of them were released a few days ago, and the final one was released this morning. In addition, 2 Israeli civilians were released today. One is a woman named Arbel Yehud, and another, an 80-year-old man from a farming community near the border. Gadi Moses was released today, 80 years old. I have just seen on social media the pictures. He looks defiant and relatively well for someone who's been held by a terrorist organization for nearly 16 months. As far as the terrorists that Israel is releasing, we know that in exchange for 1 female Israeli soldier, Israel has pledged to release 50 Palestinian terrorists from prison. These are convicted Palestinian terrorists, people who have been involved in terrorist attacks against Israeli civilians. We saw an example of the kind of people who were released more than a decade ago in exchange for 1 Israeli soldier, Gilad Shalit. There were 1,000 Hamas terrorists released from Israeli prisons. One of them was named Yahya Sinwar. Yahya Sinwar was released in a previous prisoner swap. He went on to become the head of Hamas and the mastermind of the October 7th massacre. The kind of Palestinian terrorists who are being released in this latest swap include convicted Palestinian terrorists, those serving life sentences, those serving very long sentences for participation in gruesome, horrific terrorist attacks, including dispatching suicide bombers and being a part and an accomplice to terrorist attacks that killed many Israelis. So in exchange for receiving hostages, Israel is paying a ransom that sees the release of people who may be trying to take hostages tomorrow.